Alright, it is 9:58, and I think I'm gonna call it off actually right now because I do have a lot of work to catch up with, and there was only, at least right now, one stock that is up significantly, and this is CELZ. I had two trades with it, none of them worked out, and I think I could have done a little better because now looking at a chart over a longer period of time, you can see that the volume that we're having today is not as much as the volume we had not too long ago, so there's probably a lot of bag holders that are selling their shares into this run up. Not anywhere near where they originally had their shares, but a lot better than where it was the other day. And if you go back even further, it's just one of those type of stocks that probably just has a lot of bag holders. So that's one thing to take into consideration with this one. And it also is a biotech, and I just need to remember that biotech stocks are very, very, very sketchy. They might trade like the other listed runners, but they're just never as good. They're always seem to be having a lot of selling price action. But I did trade this one, and one was around the VWAP level, and the other one looks like a dip buy where it could try to hold a level under VWAP and then try to turn around and regain itself. And yeah, I don't want to trade this one anymore. And I did have an issue with one of the orders. I think I learned from that one. First trade was 80 shares at 127, and that was at 936. So right here, 936 and 127, right around the point when it just had a downtrend, and it looked like it was trying to then, regain itself above VWAP and try to turn around, and then it's very close to the day high and everything, so it could have really worked out. And then I did sell. I tried to sell 20 shares. I only had two shares out at 128 at 938 when it was starting to look kind of sketchy, and it was making like a move above VWAP and getting to this 130 ideal breakout level, or at least a major resistance level, because it always had a lot of sellers at the ask right here. And it did break it, but just briefly. And then when it was starting to not work, I tried to sell 20 shares. I only had two. And then the problem was is that my risk level was, I believe, yeah, I think it was 120. I think I rounded it off and made 120 my risk level. And I saw that when it was showing that it was not going to work the same minutes when it got above VWAP, and then it was starting to break the range and everything. And I did get out at 120, but the problem was is that because I had this previous order where I tried to sell 20 shares and only two were executed, I had this issue where that order was still active, so it didn't sell everything that I had. It didn't like close this order right here. So what ended up happening was that I had to sell these 18 shares at a lower price at 118 at 939 once I figured out that, it wasn't getting all the shares out. And yeah, it continued to sell off, and I did try another time at 118. I'll say 119 at 949, right around here, because it was looking a bit better in that, had this downtrending trend line that it followed, and then it uptrended past it, and then it had like a little downtrend again, and then I'm in it for that reason at 119, and my risk level was 113, breaking the low. And once that happened here at 952, I did cut the trade, and I don't have any more interest with it. It could try to turn around, surely, but it doesn't have to. And again, biotechs are sketchy. This one in particular probably has a whole ton of bag holders, so it could totally work. It's just less likely. And I don't see anything else that is really uptrending or looking nice. Not even in the OTC market. The only one that is somewhat interesting is this one. And this one is having essentially like a first green day after a sell-off. But this one's pretty scary to trade. Yeah, I don't necessarily want to trade that one. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think this will be it, but I will make a update once the market is closed to see if it ever tries to do anything towards the upside, which I'm gonna guess it can. But I don't want to trade it anymore, and that's all I have for right now. Okay, it's 11:54 p.m. and I'm here to call it off. Overall, I'm gonna be down on the day, $9 and 96 cents, and I think I could have done better. Actually, with this one right here, I did trade it okay, but if I make the same mistake I did, I would make it a no, because what happened again with this trade was is that while I was trading it, I thought I sold 20 shares at 120. Um, yeah, 128 was when I was trying to get it sold at, and what happened was is that it was a partial fail, and because I'm messing around with it right here, I'm not really able to see that. But then I did notice that once I cut losses at 120, I still had 18 shares left because they didn't get fully executed. So if I do something like that again, I'm gonna knock it off and put that as a no, that I didn't trade it well, because it was really my first time going through something like that, and it was good to go through it now and learn from it. Then later with a lot more size in theory, and yeah, this one just didn't work out. I think the lesson also is just to be wary of sketchy biotechs. Mostly the biotechs are the ones that do stuff like this that just keep selling off and not really uptrend. Although it did eventually find a bottom, and it did make a move above VWAP, but this is not really predictable. It's just not predictable. It's just happened at a random point. I guess not too random because it is getting around that 12 p.m. time, but pretty random. And I think there was a setup here. KRPX was nice because it did break the previous day high, which was this 540 level. And then on top of that, it did break the very top, which was 589. So 540 was right here, and then 589. So yeah, this one offered some moves here. This was pretty impressive to look at. In fact, you can probably even draw an easy trend line, and it follows one for the most part, which makes it pretty impressive. So yeah, I just wasn't a part of this one because I just was just really behind on work that I had to catch up with, especially when I didn't see much going on at the time. But it's nice to see that something did play out here that I could have in theory traded. HILS, I was watching this one for a break above 120. It did it yesterday, I think at the very end of the day, so I missed out on this one. And it had a nice gap up to sell into, so that was another potential setup. Something to hold overnight, which is something I don't do all that often. That's it for today. I think it's fine to have had a red day, I think, to just kind of break that streak of green days and, get some good lessons out of it. That's it for today.